Welcome to episode 2 of Guts, Grit, Grind, the TIFPL podcast. This episode is an in-depth full meat recap from 4 different perspectives. Your hosts this episode are Darron, who can be found on Instagram at dare_24, Beans, that's me, at In the Mouth of the Wolf, Gaia at Gaia Willis, and introducing Tess, the master of boomerang and the Instagram story feature at Thunderbolt_thighs. We recorded this episode fresh off competing at Power Surge VII, one of the bigger APU meets that happens here in Edmonton at the U of A Butterdome Sports Complex. We hope you pick up some great tips as we share our stories and mental prep from the lead-up week and through the fucking magical day we had competing together with all of our strong friends.
All right, drive the boat.
All right, so we're going to talk a little bit about the meet experience. And we're going to run through it a little bit chronological. So you're going to build a little bit of suspense here on what we actually did during this meet. So let's start with the week before.
I just cried a lot.
I was so ready for the deload that week. I was so tired. And yeah, so Alan made me go to the gym. Like my husband made me go to the gym because I really didn't want to. And people were like, no, you need to do blood flow. And I was like, I just want to lay on the couch.
Yeah. I was feeling really grateful that my coach only programmed me 2 days. So on Monday, I just went in and did my warm-ups and my openers, and it went really well and everything felt really good. And then on Wednesday, all I had to do was go in and do my warm-ups. So pretty much like 3 or 4 sets of each lift. And the warm-ups felt like shit on the Wednesday. So I was like, oh, cool. I'm going to do great. Awesome.
Although there's something really fun about being able to go to the gym for like 40 minutes
right?
Instead of 2 hours.
Yeah. I was like, I don't even have to get there until 9 o'clock tonight. Yeah.
I somehow still managed to make it take an hour and a half.
Yeah, I had very similar programming where I had my just testing my openers, and then it was essentially just doing warm-ups to openers for the week before. But then I had to go for work to this huge food conference, so I basically spent the week before the meet like mainlining butter beans, and with like a bottomless wine glass, and actually stressing out like, oh, poor Gaia. She went to this lavish food conference at the Fairmont in Jasper in the beautiful Alberta mountains, but there was no proper gym there. The food was insane, and I was a little stressed that I needed to be doing more, but I just kind of had to roll with it. And as it turns out, like mainlining butter and putting on 5 pounds directly before a meet could be maybe good for you.
Yeah, I think it worked out.
It worked out okay for me.
I mean, it was the complete forced deload, too, which was kind of, in retrospect, possibly a plus.
Yeah, like I got to the hotel gym and I kind of did what I could. They had their dumbbells only went up to 45 pounds each.
I'm surprised they even went that high, to be honest.
Yeah, well, this is a fancy hotel. So I did what I could just to feel like I could get my blood pumping, which was good because my arteries were probably clogged.
But
yeah, so it turned out okay.
Nice. I have to say, this was probably my least stressful week before a meet.
Yeah.
I was just like, I only had 2 workouts, maybe 3. It was less than I normally do, which I was kind of like, oh God, I'm lost. I want to go to the gym. But I watched a lot of Netflix. I played a lot of video games. And I did not stress about the meet, which was one of my biggest worries that I was going to.
Yeah.
And I didn't. And it's a first for me, which I was also really happy about.
I'm usually like a ball of stress the week leading up to the meet, and I wasn't because, like, as I discussed on the last podcast, I'd sort of kind of given up a little bit because my meet prep went to shit, so I just assumed that I wasn't going to be doing well at the meet. And so I was stoked to, like, do my openers and only be at the gym for half an hour and all that sort of thing, but then on, like, the night before, my friends were messaging me being like, what time do you lift tomorrow? And I'm just kind of like, don't fucking talk to me. Like, I don't want to talk about it. I just want this to be over. I'm going to fail so badly, and I don't want to talk about it. Didn't turn out that way.
Yeah, I can't
That's a
say
spoiler.
that. Yeah, I can't say that I wasn't stressed. I was pretty stressed the week before, and it was a extremely busy work time too, where I was like working 24 hours a day, essentially for 4 days in a row. No, I definitely was stressed the week before.
The good thing was that I know for at least us, none of us were cutting. so there wasn't that extra stress.
I was definitely not cutting. I was doing
Can
the
you
opposite.
cut 60 pounds in a week? I don't know. I'm not a mathematician, but like, seriously, I'd have to lose 60 pounds.
I had that's the thing, because I live under now, which is really nice. I'm enjoying not, although I still am paranoid. I'm like, oh, you're 6 pounds under. And I had that conversation with people. I was like, okay, I am 3 kilos under right now, but I'm sure I could fuck this up, guys.
Yeah.
Well, I put on 3 kilos and a bit in like 4 days.
See, it was doable. I had
gains. That's PR.
Yeah.
So justified paranoia. That's the thing. My stress was down. I did still maintain that minor stress of, can I put on 3 kilos in 2 days, guys? All right. So night before, how were we the night before?
I feel like I kept having butterflies in my stomach the night before.
Yeah.
Just like I would start thinking about squatting and I would just feel sick. And so then I would like, no, I should just play video games. I played video games a lot that week too. But my stomach would just drop and then I'd have to stop thinking about what was stressing me out. So.
I worked late. I stayed at work late on purpose. And then at the end of my work day, I went to get my meat day snacks, which was... it's always a big bag of Swedish berries and at least a few packs of Oreos. I bought 3 packs of Oreos. Only 2 made it to the meet because I ate a whole packet.
You were trying to get your butter gains? Is
Yeah.
there butter in Oreos?
I don't know, but they taste fucking good, man.
And I want to clarify,
Corn syrup
when Bean says a packet, it's not like the sleeve.
No. It's the
like a whole thing
of Oreos. Remember that time actually that I messaged you guys? I was like, someone got me cinnamon bun Oreos, but I ate the whole packet in my drive to work or something like that. I'm a fucking machine, guys. Don't doubt it.
It's your Olympic food. You know, there's the one food you could always eat and are never full. Oreos.
Also, apparently, ice cream.
Although you paid for that, didn't you?
We'll get to that.
Yeah. The ice cream happened later.
Yeah. What about you, Darren? What was your night before like?
I mean, I think it was good in the sense that we were super busy the night, even the day before, because obviously it was Remembrance Day. Mm-hmm. My partner's in the military, so we went to a service and had all that kind of stuff going on, and then we had to clean our house because we had a friend coming in that was going to handle me at the meet, and we didn't want her to discover how big of a shit pit we lived in. So it was a really big motivation to declutter. So I cleaned the pantry. We had some stuff from 2012 in there, so that
amazing.
was good to get rid of. I think
like good mental distraction. Actually,
that was the thing. I was like, in terms of doing a task that wasn't going to require a ton of brain power, but yeah. So yeah, I cleaned my pantry, guys. Pantry gains.
Well, I have like a team based on all the people who are coached by the same person. It's called Illuminating Strength,
aka the Super Friends.
The Super Friends, and so we had a team dinner at Boston Pizza, which is a good place to carb up. Boston Pizza, if you want to sponsor us, there you go.
Please,
little mention,
please.
Little mention, no big deal. So that was actually really nice because it focused specifically on those of us who were going. There were 3 of us from the same team competing the next day, along with our programmer and coach, and a couple of the other teammates showed up too, and they were planning to be there the next day for support purposes, and yeah, it was really nice to all get together and.
Although cruel if anybody on your team was cutting, because you would.
But we don't do that on Illuminating Strength.
They serve water at
but like
if
you're having something like Boston Pizza that's so full of salt, you're going to retain a lot of water.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. Like Marlise and Allison went to Hudson's.
Yeah.
I went to Hudson's too and watched them eat.
Yeah.
Because again, like I said, I was paranoid I could magically gain 3 kilos. Night turns into day, bright and early, because we had some 7:30 weigh-ins?
7:30 a.m.
Gross.
Who slept? I didn't.
I did, actually.
I was still up at 2 a.m. listening to Rihanna.
Well, I'd had so little sleep the night before because of this crazy work thing or the week before really because of this crazy work thing. But I did myself the tremendous favor the night before, which I almost forgot, is I went and carved up, and then I had a hot Epsom salt bath, and that always knocks me out. So I went straight from the bath into bed, and I actually had a really good sleep.
I never sleep before a meet ever, so I don't stress about it. I just ride it.
Yeah.
I was sent to bed, but then I couldn't sleep. But then I was really afraid that Allison was going to find out that I wasn't asleep. So I faked it.
Canada's strongest woman. Like, it's a legit concern.
Yeah. Like, so I kind of just like.
How would she have found out that you weren't asleep? Was she going to check on you?
Well, I wouldn't have put it past her.
This is Darron
She'd be like,
logic.
why is Darron liking things on Instagram? She's awake in there. She's awake in there.
I was like, oh God, they're going to find me. But yeah, eventually I got some sleep. But yeah, so we make it to weigh-ins. Yeah. Everybody was on time. It was good.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I think you were the latest and you had the best shoes, I think is.
Yeah, I had some pretty fucking good shoes. I also flashed the ref because he was doing equipment checks, and usually that's supposed to involve everything that you're going to wear on the platform, but I was already wearing my underwear.
Here's my underwear.
Sports bra. So I was just like, here's my bra and undies. Like, I don't know. I don't think he really cared. I don't think he even wanted to see them.
No.
I was nervous. This was my first meet back with the APU.
Tess got a couple of pictures of me with my hands on my pants. Because that's
true.
That's
your hands were in your pants all morning.
Yeah. It's what I like to do that. It's just, I don't know. It's a good stress release. Just
touching yourself.
They weren't down my underwear. They were down my pants.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like, even though I didn't, I knew I was weighing in. I compete 84 plus anyway, so who really cares? But I also knew I was weighing in heavier than usual. I still couldn't eat breakfast in the morning because that's when the nerves hit me more, actually, is the morning of rather than the night before.
Yeah. I actually really enjoyed, because this was the first meet that I haven't cut for out of the last 3 or 4 meets that I've done. So I could wake up and have a coffee and eat breakfast and do all my stuff. Like, I wasn't even concerned that I hadn't pooped before I weighed in because I didn't care.
I was annoyed I hadn't pooped.
Yeah.
I was like, well, partially because I was scared I was going to shit on the platform.
Yeah, that was my concern.
That was actually
as well.
more my concern than my weigh-in. Because same thing, there's, I'm going to be in 84 plus. But yeah, I was like, I better poop before we start picking stuff up.
Yeah. I actually had a bunch of stuff lined up for me that morning, and it just made me feel like the powerlifting gods were shining on me because, first of all, I got there on time, and the meat shirt matched my belt and
Best
my knee sleeves and stuff like that. Our meat shirt had a bear and a shark on it. It's fucking rad.
It's purple.
And a lightning bolt.
And then when I did finally need to poop, I went to the downstairs bathroom and there was no one in there. It was perfect. It was a great one. I knew we were going to have a good day.
Yeah, this was a day that was meant to be.
Yeah.
So what I wanted to make sure we talked about here was either things you brought that you're glad you did, or things you did not bring that other people brought and you were jealous of.
I should have brought some candy, some of my own candy, because having that really simple, easy to digest sugar is really key for keeping your energy up. And it felt like a long day.
It was a long day.
But I did bring juice, just juice boxes, which as the mom of an 11-year-old are around my house all the time. But they're great to have on a meat day because, again, it's very easy on your stomach, easy on your nerves, but exactly the kind of sugar you need to keep going for that kind of a day.
So my husband also competes all the time, and so he always makes us hamburgers the night before. So I think he gets 4 hamburgers, but I only get 2, and I think that
Alan, that's a rip.
I know, Alan, he's cruel. But I think I felt like I was short food this time, but I brought fruit, and that was helpful because I feel like the sugar of the candies gives me a headache. Because it's a lot of adrenaline and sugar and caffeine, and I always have the worst fucking headache by the end of the day.
Go ahead.
I definitely brought more food than needed. I was, oh my god, I had to, and I sent you guys pictures when we went to Walmart. That is more junk than we have bought in I don't even know how long, and I barely touched anything other than liquids, as we've talked about. Spoiler alert, I consumed a lot of liquid during this meet.
We know what happens next.
Seriously, I weighed in, had an extra large coffee from Tim Hortons. Then I had I had a liter of water immediately following that, 2 Monster drinks, and at least another liter after that. There were at least 4 liters of liquid swimming through me throughout the day, which in retrospect, it shouldn't be that much of a surprise that after every lift, I was like, I need to go to the bathroom. And there were a few times that Allison was like, no, you are not allowed to go to the bathroom right now. And I was like, no, but she's like, shut up, just go lift.
I knew that this particular venue, so it's at the University of Alberta here in Edmonton, and I knew that there would be places to get food too. So I wasn't too concerned about bringing a ton.
Although I did like that the last two meets at Evolve, they grilled up hot dogs.
They know what we're about.
Yeah.
The question was though, like, what we were glad that we bought. I was glad that I bought my lacrosse ball.
Oh yeah.
I have really bad problems with a tight pec, which always fucks me up in bench press, and it did anyway. But I was glad that I had that to just at least loosen stuff up a little bit. I can't think of. I'm glad I had tissues. I don't know.
I was kind of jealous. It was funny because I saw one of the lifters on the way in, and she was schlepping from the car with her, rolly bag. And I was kind of like, I'm like, wow, like over prepared. And then as I'm schlepping my bag and a roller and and everything in my hands, and I'm trying to like juggle my coffee and not drop anything, I'm like, I want a rolling bag.
Yeah, that's a
so
good.
I am seriously
good
considering
idea.
The rolly bag.
My bag gets heavy. I have like 2 pairs of shoes and a belt and a loaf of bread and a jar of Nutella. And
You had a whole loaf of bread.
dude, there is Nutella to be consumed. This is a Cammy knows. Cammy and Jamie, you understand?
I thought
too.
you just needed a spoon.
Yeah, well,
she had an
yeah,
entire
I needed a
loaf of
vessel.
bread.
That's too
Yeah.
much.
Yeah,
Just a spoon.
don't judge me, guys.
No, I'm proud of you.
Thanks.
So we wanted to do something of a PSA kind of thing here on you can and can't wear that at a meet based on things that we saw at this meet and or things that we experienced.
Or things that we discussed beforehand.
Yeah, because Beans, I know you and I had to have a talk about t-shirts.
Yeah, I didn't know that you're supposed to just have a plain cotton t-shirt or an approved logo t-shirt, and I wanted to wear my TIFPL shirt. I think on the day I could have.
We're going to have to, well, in theory, maybe you could have gotten away with it, but yeah, we're going to have to try and get ourselves
approved.
Yeah, we're going to
CPU
have to
approved.
We're going to have to drop some money to the CPU so that we can get approved, because that'd be pretty badass.
Yeah, turns out the meat shirts were great anyway. The other thing was hair. Like, I reread the rule book because I was like, wow, if the t-shirt's going to fuck me up, what else is going to fuck me up? And I wanted to wear my hair in like a braid to the side, but then the rule book is like super specific that whatever hairstyle you have, it can't hide like your head touching the bench kind of thing. And I was like, well, I don't know how strict they're going to be. So I ended up just like pulling it up on top of my head because I didn't want to get called for having.
I had no idea there was a hair rule.
Yeah. I got nailed on it at one of my last meets actually, because I went in because normally I like to like in the gym when I'm just benching, I normally just wear like my Nike, whatever head. Is that a headband?
Probably. I don't know girl things.
I don't know girl things, but I think it's a headband, right? Circle thing that's elasticy and sticks on my head.
Yeah,
Sure.
Sure.
A hairband.
Sounds like a headband.
We're gonna go with headband for that. And yeah, so that's what I normally wear, and that's what I wore for my opener at my last meet. And then they were like, "You gotta put your hair up," and I'm like, "How am I gonna?" So, long story short, what I rock for bench,
I loved it.
Is a high pony mullet.
It's pretty fucking sweet.
I think you should consider rocking that on the regular.
Yeah, I mean,
It's very
Bring the high pony mullet
As someone
back.
who has a haircut as a mullet, it's popular.
and I mean, it's powerful.
Yeah.
evidently.
Powerful.
Evidently.
Yes.
I don't understand why more women don't wear the pigtails, because they don't squish at the back of your head when you're benching.
It's true. That's
The pigtails are my go-to.
There's
Yeah.
that crazy strong Russian girl that has like pigtails that are 2 meters long, and the bench guy has to like pull her hair out of the way while she sets up for bench. I don't think she's like IPF. I think she's a different federation. But yeah, she got that down.
Yeah.
But yeah, other things to know too. The difference between sleeves and wraps.
Yeah, I felt bad for that girl who
It
her
blow-
very first meet, and
It
didn't know
blows
there
me
was a
away
difference.
every time. Like, there's been people at our gym that have asked questions like, oh, can I wear these? And it's like, no. Have you read the rule book? Have you, like, especially if you're going to compete with someone like IPF affiliated, there are very strict rules on what you can wear and what you can't wear. And you know,
on the brand, like it has to be an approved brand too. So you might have sleeves, but if they're not SBD, if they're not,
and even so far as like with the slingshot sleeves, I have a pair of Mark Bell's strong sleeves.
Yeah,
his slingshot sleeves are approved, but his strong sleeves aren't. So I had to buy a pair of Titans so that I had a legal pair of knee sleeves to wear.
Well, and can you imagine like just how much that must have thrown her game to like, you know, been practicing in wraps and knows where she's at with wraps, and then all of a sudden doesn't have sleeves.
She could have just signed up equipped and got default gold for being the only equipped girl.
Yeah.
But I mean, and I think the thing is too is asking the questions is great, especially if you're going to ask them beforehand. Like that would probably be my biggest PSA is ask all these questions beforehand. Can I wear this? Can I do this? And it was, is my hair going to be okay like this? And
yeah,
ask all the questions. You know what? This is probably one of the situations where there are no stupid questions. Yeah. Get yourself as prepared as possible.
The only stupid thing is if you haven't asked those questions before the day.
Yeah.
And I think that there's some things that people just don't even know are a thing. Like that's why someone shows up thinking that they can wear knee wraps on the day because they just didn't know that that's not how the categories work.
Yeah. Well, it's something simple too. Like even, you know, you can't wear Nike Pros under your singlet. You got to wear... You have
cotton
to wear
underwear.
Yep.
Yeah.
They can't have legs. Legless panties.
As someone who always wears cotton underwear, it's fine with me. Let me tell you about jockeys. They're great.
Another sponsorship.
Oh my God, we're gonna have so many
jockey,
sponsors.
Please give me the nice cotton underwear.
Yeah, I think like whatever federation you might be competing in, I think if you just if it's your first meet, if you just let everybody you meet that day know that it's your first meet, it's in our nature as a sporting community to look out for each other.
Yeah.
Because we've all been there, and there are a million little things that you learn at your first meet that you wish you had known about what you can wear and not wear as an example.
And most of us hate to see people fail. So, like, for instance, you know, there's been a bunch of times that I've run up to someone and be like, take your thumb loops off. They're going to give you red lights. Yeah. Like, even if I hadn't really liked the person, I'm just like, I can't let them go out there and
that's the thing.
Have something like that.
Tell people it's your first day.
Yeah.
You will acquire a mama bear.
One thing.
At least one.
Yeah. The one thing about Power Surge the Power Surge that we just had was I was really impressed at how many girls, how many women we didn't know who approached us. Like right after weigh-ins when we were sitting downstairs and we hadn't started warming up and people were eating and stretching and just kind of hanging out. You know, Sarah, the one with the knee wraps, she came and introduced herself. Morgan came and introduced Rosa. They all just came over and like I'm really thrilled that we're approachable because I really think that, you know, and we've talked about this before, strong, bitchy feminists are fucking scary, you know, and like,
oh no,
as someone who's lost friends for being intimidating,
right?
You know, I'm thrilled that those girls were all just like, hey.
Yeah.
That's how they look. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, it was really cool. I'm, like I've mentioned before, I'm super shy, and it was nice to just have us all sitting there and introduce ourselves and be able to go the whole meet day, not just sort of like awkwardly not talking to someone because you weren't sure of their name or whatever. That was cool.
Like for me too, in terms of getting in the headspace, like talking to people and getting a sense for who's around me and who's a veteran and who's new. Like I actually find that starts getting me into the right headspace for getting onto the platform. Yeah. That may not be the case for everybody. So if you're kind of more the person who needs to find a quiet place and put your headphones on, I mean, most people are not idiots. If you're away from the group with headphones on, people are going to take that as a cue that you need a quiet space.
And this is probably a really good lead-in into our pregame.
Yeah.
And talking about that, because I will fully admit that you guys were definitely the approachable ones, and you guys were chatting it up, and I was off in Darron land, and I put in my headphones, and I just wanted to start visualizing, and I.
But when we were in the back, I didn't want to, like, I actually had to kind of go over to the side because the juniors were so fucking excited and like. Bless them. Like, that's not like a diss.
I'm old. I'm an M1.
Yeah, I was all just like, M1 is gonna go be crabby over here. But you guys eat sugar. But like, yeah, I needed to calm down because I couldn't take on their nerves. You know, and good for them that they were so excited. But it's like, I'm gonna go on the other side of this table while you guys are over there.
Yeah, I was a little too excited in the morning. Like after I weighed in, I was just like really like full of energy, and I'm like, man, I don't lift for 2 hours. I need to calm the fuck down. And so I tried to, just with stretching and like chilling out and stuff like that. I'm the sort of person that I'll be either or even both at the same time. Like, I was really chatty and interactive, but then once it's go time, I'm kind of much more focused, and I want to get out of everyone's space. I don't want people chatting to me. I don't want any of that. I just want to start warming up and get in the zone.
Yeah. And I mean, and I guess one of the realities is too that especially with 2 hour weigh-ins, you have 2 hours to kill after weigh-ins.
Yeah.
It's very literal that way.
Yeah, and I like that kind of lead-up time where I'm starting to kind of get into the zone. I'm having a little snack at that point because I've weighed in and maybe I'm starting to relax a little bit. But then once go time comes, for sure, I don't really want to chat at that point. I'm either with my headphones on or I'm watching people lift, because I actually find that helps me focus, is watching other people hit the platform ahead of me. But I don't, the only exception I would make is for my daughter came like hurtling
she did,
hurtling back behind the curtain after my first squat, and that was fine. That I'll make an exception for her to come back and chat with me,
but just this once.
Yeah, this one time, kid.
Zara, that's it.
That's it. As soon as you turn 12, no more conversation. We're done.
She's probably thinking that. Oh, you're so embarrassing, Mom.
I know.
Although my daughter did text me during the meet and was like, "You're pretty awesome." And I was like,
"Aww,
thank you.
That warms my cold heart."
Maybe take a bath.
So, as long as I've got your attention.
Big thing on warm-ups. Yeah. You are going to be sharing platforms with many people, especially if it's a big meet. Because that's the thing. My last meet was actually really small, and it was at a CrossFit gym with many platforms and a lot of weights. Mm-hmm. I didn't have to share with anybody. I had my own little space. Yeah. It was kind of nice. Something like Power Surge, when you're looking around and there's like 35 competitors in the morning and 4 racks, you're going to share.
You got to share. And you've got to make sure that you have thought that through. Like when I was doing my warm-ups in the gym in the days prior, I was like, man, that only took me 20 minutes, but that is going to take longer if I'm sharing a rack with someone. Mm-hmm. And you can't get shitty about sharing a rack. Like if someone comes up and is like, hey, can I work in with you? The answer is, yeah, of course. The answer is not, I guess. Like that's what powerlifting meets is. Everyone has to work together to make sure that everyone gets to where they need to be in time for the platform.
And sorry, but I think too, it's, I mean, just to play devil, because I sound shitty on meet day, and I know I do. If I'm like, yes. Sometimes for me too, it's just because I'm in like some zone. I don't actually care if you're there or not or whatever.
I get
I'm
that.
Just being,
and I'm like that as well. Yeah. But just when I was coaching my friend Cami through the afternoon session, I just felt like I got a little bit of attitude from some people that thought maybe they could have a whole platform to themselves to warm up. I'm like, no, there's lots of other lifters here.
But yeah, so I mean, it's an important thing to work into your whole like mental prep. Is you're going to be sharing. Factor it in. Don't be like, oh, I'm going to take everything like a minute and a half apart, because you're not going to, because it's not going to work. The other thing I wanted to say too was we were really lucky that we had a couple of really cool guys and girls that came back into the warm-up area and were switching out plates for us.
Yeah, that's great. And I think like I feel awkward when other people are loading my weights for me.
Me too.
But it's really good to save as much energy as you can for the platform. And a couple of my Illuminating Strength teammates were back there loading plates for me and for other people who weren't even on our team, because that's the decent thing to do.
Yeah. Well, I really had to rely on everybody because this was my first meet without someone handling me, because Kevin decided he wanted to go to Thailand or wherever him and his wife went. So yeah, it was nerve-wracking because I'd never had to think about my warm-ups before, and I didn't even think to ask him, what should I do as a warm-up? And so Alan and I had discussed it, so I had kind of an idea of how high I should go, but honestly, when I knew your opener was the same as mine, I'm like, I'm just going to do Gaia's warm-up.
Yeah, our deadlift opener was the same, but then I screwed up my deadlift warm-up, so.
Which again is probably another good kind of like tidbit that we can give to people is that's if you are somebody that has a coach and you know that person isn't there to coach you or handle you on the day, a good thing to talk about beforehand is, what do my warm-ups look like? Because some things that maybe you don't think about or think should be obvious, they're not. You kind of want to have a fairly prescripted
Yeah, and I don't know why that didn't dawn on me that was something that I would need to think about until like the day before.
And not just the weights, but also the timing. So if you know that, say, your lift is one of the heavier lifts and you know you're going to be at the end of your flight, then you're going to want to time things a little differently than somebody who's going to be first up. And I will fully admit to just... I haven't internalized any of that information because I just let my coach tell me, like, go do this now. And I just go do it so I don't have to think at all on the day.
Yeah. In the lead up to the meet, because this is the first time ever in my powerlifting career that I've paid a coach. I always just did my own meet preps and all that sort of stuff. And I had like a pretty solid warm-up routine because I'd been to a clinic with my coach Bryce in Calgary, and he'd shown us like just a set warm-up that he sticks to every time in training or at meets or whatever, and it just makes a lot of sense. And I'm the sort of person that needs to have some structure to stick to so that I'm not fucking around for an hour in the gym warming up, because I have ADD literally, and sometimes it's really hard for me to keep on track. So Bryce and I had sort of spoken a little bit. We'd talked about, because he was lifting at the meet, so he wasn't really going to be super available for me. I've been lifting for a while, and I've handled myself a little bit at meets, so I wasn't that concerned. And I told him, as long as I've got a rough idea of numbers and stuff like that, I'm happy to sort of take care of myself. But we got that clear before the meet. I didn't go into it wondering, I wonder if Bryce is going to be running my numbers or anything like that. There was none of that. But then on the day I got there, and he had his whole team up from Calgary, the whole Calgary barbell crew. So Britt and Bo, who weren't lifting, they were just there handling all of us, and it was fucking rad. So I just got to jump in with them and pretty much do what Gaia got to do, like not think about anything, just like they put some weight on the bar, I did it. And, Bo called all of my numbers and did a fucking amazing job on it. And it was like, I loved my experience on meet day. Being coached through a meet like that was amazing compared to never having done that before.
Because you and I were in the same boat that way, where this is the first time that I've been coached coming into a meet. And it was also the first time that I've had somebody handle me at a meet. And those two things... Wow, what a game changer.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I'm going to keep doing that because it was a phenomenal way to approach things.
I was really relieved that the people who stepped up to help me, though, because I was freaking out about it. And Byron, who was back there handling his girlfriend Stephanie, and he kind of helped me out, like he babied me a little bit, and it was so nice because Byron was like an acquaintance from Evolve. And then Jeannie at the table, like when I failed my first squat and I didn't know what to do for my second attempt, she just kind of like came back and was just like, helped me and like figuratively held my hand, and it was nice. Like as usual, the powerlifting community stepped up and was like, "Oh, no one's handling you today. We'll take care of you."
Yeah. Well, because I think people know what a difference it makes to have somebody, even just to have somebody run your attempt cards to the judges. Even just knowing that that's off your plate, that's more energy and focus you can put into your lifts. But I've actually never done a meet where I haven't had somebody to handle me, and I'm terrified of that day.
Don't do it.
I'm terrified. That day will come, and I will have to put on my big girl panties and make it happen. But But
yeah, if you can avoid it, do it. I mean, like that's the thing is, I think that the less things you can have on your mind that aren't, I'm going to go out on a platform and I'm going to lift this weight, the better. That
absolutely.
The more that you can just focus on you and your lifts and how they're going to be executed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and with Bo calling my numbers, I didn't even have to think about, I have to squat this amount right now. I didn't even look at the numbers that he put in. I just went out there and put my all into every lift, and it worked out.
Yeah, really I'm gonna segue us into the actual process of lifting and what we did on this day.
Okay, we did a bunch of stuff.
Yes. We all squatted, benched, and deadlifted.
Yeah.
Indeed.
None of us bombed.
Woo!
Some of us went 9 for 9.
Some of us.
One of
us?
Not me.
Yeah, I was like...
One of us went 9 for 9.
This guy.
Who went 8 for 9?
Nope.
I think I went 8 for 9.
Yeah, because you missed one bench, right?
I think I missed one bench.
Yeah. I was 7 for 9.
Too.
And there we go. We had a 9, an 8, and 2 7s.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I was really pleased with this 7 for 9 though. I really enjoyed both of my fails in a way that I don't think I've ever enjoyed fails before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. I just failed my third bench press as usual. Like I don't think I've ever gotten a third bench press.
So where do you want to start with kind of the process of the day? Do we start talking about squats? Or?
I feel like, yeah, you know what? Let's continue with this chronological stuff. And
all right.
Yeah.
So squats happen.
Yeah. You know, something that threw me off a little on that day, and I wish in retrospect that I had gone out and just kind of gotten a feel for it, is the floor of the platform.
Yes.
Oh,
It was really squishy.
Stressful. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it reminded me of when I used to squat in running shoes in the beginning. And if I had gone out just to walk on the platform and even just do a couple of body weight squats, it wouldn't have thrown me, because it threw me just a little
Yeah,
bit.
it was almost like more plush carpet than industrial style.
Yeah, and I don't know
carpet.
what they had underneath that carpet, but it was a little bouncy and bouncier in some parts than in others.
So another TIFPL hot tip here is, because realistically, once you get there, you get weigh-ins, and again, you got 2 hours, and that platform's already set up.
Yeah.
Just go walk on it.
Yeah.
Yep. No
Just
one's
see what
gonna
it's-
yell at you.
yeah.
Just
You're
go
allowed
and
to
do
walk
it.
on it.
Yeah.
So-
Sit on it, roll around on it.
Make it yours. Pee on it. No, that's for later.
That's for later. Yeah. So just in terms of, so if we're talking about like first attempt selection, generally, I don't know what criteria you guys use for your first attempt, but I try to choose something that I know I could triple on a bad day.
Yeah.
Because my first attempt, I want to, it needs to be close enough to whatever I'm hoping to get for my third, that the jumps aren't too big. But also I want it to be something that I know I can show, like bury the depth, great technique. Even if my nerves get to me, I can muscle my way out of it. Just something to get on the board.
Yeah, world's shittiest day, you still hit it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was the best advice I think I ever got, was just, what can you hit on your shittiest day?
Yeah.
Do it.
And I get like just inconsolably nervous. Like until I get my first squat out of the way, I am a wreck.
Yeah.
An absolute wreck. And most of my friends who have done a meet with me can testify to that. Unfortunately, on this day, I still was nervous after I got my first squat out of the way, but I still made it through and made it 3 for 3 on squats. So
I went out and, yeah, because I'm similar, and especially because with the injuries that I've had, especially squat is even more of just this mental barrier for me, and I'm like, I'm going to, like, knowing that I have not bombed because of squats is probably the turning point of any day for me. Going out there and not only making my first one, but it felt fucking brilliant. I was like, okay, this day is on. Let's party a little bit.
I would say for at least 2 of the 4 of us, squat is the biggest mental.
Yes.
Yeah. So I would like for Darron and Tess, probably you guys, it's the biggest mental.
Well, I think I need to. This is something I need to talk to my coach trainer about. Is sorry. Is that I often fail my first squat. So my previous meet in August, I fell in my first squat, which of course shook me to my very core. And so at this meet, when I failed my first squat, I know it's a mental fail because I know it's a number that I can do. And so I'm starting to think like maybe in my warm up I actually need to hit my opener so that I know what it feels like, or
Maybe something closer.
Yeah, like I mean, I think I went to maybe 10 kilos less than what my opener was, but I think I need to go even more because, or I just have to plan that I'm always going to fail my first squat,
Yeah.
or potentially,
No.
potentially that I could fail it and then
no, I mean, because I think that, I mean, I'm not going to tell you what to think, but I mean, I feel like if it's in your head as a possibility that you're going to fail it, you're kind of fucked from the start.
Yeah.
Like,
the mental game is huge, and I'm only just getting a grasp on the mental game after I've been lifting since 2014.
Yeah, so I think maybe I do need to start hitting my opener in my warm up.
It could be something that maybe for a couple of meets you should hit your opener in the warm up, but like long term, you just need to gain that mental strength that you believe that you are going to hit it.
Well, I told Kevin in my next cycle. Thank you. I want to squat every single day, even if it's a squat variation or accessory. I want to squat every
that'll do more
day.
for you.
There's something to be said about greasing the groove. Like I mean, again, like squats are my weakest movement. Squats are the one that I feel like I need the most mental work on as well. I squat 3 times a week.
Yeah. And also, I had a really brutal training cycle earlier this year, self-programmed, of course, and which was me failing a lot of squats because they were heavy, and it ruined me at the time. But also, slowly, I learned what it feels like to just grind through a squat, and it just, in the end, it ended up giving me more confidence because I figured that out. But squats are fucked, man.
They are. They're my nemesis.
I mean, what I found is that, and maybe this would be something that would translate to feeling more confidence on the platform on the day of too, is like I needed to work in heavier percentages more in the gym, because, like even if you're strong enough to handle the weight, which I am, but like 200 pounds feels different from 150 pounds and like 300 pounds feels different. It starts doing different things to your body. And so once my squats started getting over 300 pounds regularly, they were feeling different, and I needed to just have that kind of weight on my back more often in the gym so it wouldn't be such an alien feeling on the platform.
Yeah.
Because my last meet, I hadn't had enough experience with those 300 plus pound weights, and I really got in my head about my squats. But this meet, I spent way more time working in some heavier percentages in the gym, and I just had a lot more confidence that I could put that weight on my back. And if I gave myself an accidental surprise pause like I did in my second squat, that I could muscle my way out of it. I still got red lighted on that lift because I had a little bit of downward movement, but by God, I still stood up. So I had confidence to go for the third squat I was hoping for, which would break the Alberta provincial record. So,
And what happened?
and I did it.
You killed it.
So yeah, I failed 162.5 kilograms in my second squat, but I failed it in such a way that I was like I accidentally paused it 2 inches out of the hole and had downward movement and still stood up, no problem. I know I've got 168 in me. So it was kind of a great fail to have because it showed me I had the strength to do the third attempt I was hoping for. And 168 flew. I think it almost looked better than my opener at 155.
Pretty good.
So that's like 370 pounds.
No big deal.
Yeah.
She's kind of a big deal.
I like to squat.
Squats for me was super interesting too because, again, it's my most mental lift. And so I knew what I was hitting for my opener. I knew what I was hitting for my second. And I knew the range for my third. That was what we had talked about. With, like me and my coach had talked about that beforehand. I knew I was doing a second at 122. And I knew the range for the third was going to be between 125 and 130.
And what did you do?
Well, see, this is fun because I got off the platform at 122. And Allison looked at me, and I was like, I trust you. Just put in whatever you think I can hit.
Oh, I love that. I love when you have a handler who will do that.
Yeah. And she said, you can't know what it is. So I had to push a chair far back from the screen so that I could not see what was going on. Sat back there in my own little world. And she was just like, visualize whatever the fuck you're going to do. So I sat there. And then it was funny because in the videos that I've seen since, the number is announced, but I somehow managed to not hear it. Went out there, put it on my back, felt kind of heavy, and she said it was going to feel heavy and to just do it anyway. Stood up. I got 1 red light, but that's okay. 2 whites, good lift, ran back. I hugged Allison because I was excited that I hit something. I was like, it's got to be at least 125 because they made me go up by 2.5. I'm like, what did I hit? 130. Super excited. It's a 25 kilo meet PR for me.
25 kilo. Let's just all have a moment to consider a 25 kilo meet PR.
That's like 55 pounds.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So.
And we all cried.
Yeah.
It was great.
Yeah. It was funny because I cried and my partner was like, you can't cry right now. You gotta focus.
What the fuck, Molly? She's mean.
So then I had to get focused for bench.
You had so much time to cry. I had an interesting thing with my squats because my opener it always sucks. Like I get caught somewhere in it and it just always sucks. I never have a great looking opener. And so like the crew that were handling me, they don't train with me and stuff. So they had to go off what they saw. And so both put in for my second attempt just 7.5 kilos more, which is equal to a platform PR, but I have squatted 140 before, and I told him that today I wanted 140 on the platform because I squatted it in the gym, but I wanted it on the platform. So I did my second attempt, and I was like, what was that? And he said 137.5, and I'm like, okay, cool. And he was just like, you'll get what you wanted today. And I was like, okay, sweet. And I kind of didn't even pay any mind to it, just assumed that I was going out there to squat 140 for my third attempt. And so I did it, and I was like, man, that felt heavier than when I did it at the gym. And then like 5 minutes later, when I bothered to ask someone how much I'd squatted, it was 145. So yeah, I got a 320-pound squat, and that feels pretty fucking good. I like it.
What about you, Tess? What did you accomplish?
I don't want to talk about
it was
my
a
squat.
PR though, wasn't it?
No, my squat was exactly what I did in August.
You didn't get worse though.
I didn't get worse, but
That's
I did
what
not
I always
improve my
fear.
squat.
Did you feel like your mental game on the squat was better than?
No.
Okay,
So
I'm still mad about it.
So Tess is going to make mental gains.
mental gains.
Mental gains. I'm going to squat all the time. Well, I will say, though, I did a workshop maybe like 3 weeks before Power Surge, and I feel like my squat technique really improved. And so I'm hoping that if I have more than a couple weeks to practice that movement, which is why I will squat every day in the next cycle, I think when I compete next,
It'll come.
It'll be better.
Yeah,
For sure.
So then we benched.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, we benched.
Yeah. Every single one of my third attempts in this meet was kind of a YOLO attempt. Because I still went for that record even though I'd messed up my second attempt with squat. And then I've had big bench gains this past cycle. So my opener was 65 kilograms, which was actually my meet PR. So
awesome.
That's such a good feeling when your opener is your meet PR.
Me too, but it's been my meet PR for the last year and a half.
I also opened with my meet PR.
Yeah, Darron is definitely Darron's bench story is probably the most exciting, I think, of the four of us here.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah,
I think all bench stories are exciting, but I really like bench.
Every bench story is a good
like
bench
bench
story.
Exactly. I mean, if you've been injured for a long time and all you could do is bench, you become very invested in bench.
And very good at it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I came out, got 80 on my first attempt. Felt really, really good. It was funny because I said to Allison, because again, we planned out my openers and my second, and my second was to be 85.5, which was to beat a provincial record by half a kilo. And a couple people before I went out, I said to Allison, I'm like 85.5, right? And she's like, no, they wouldn't let me put in 85.5. They told me I had to put in 85. And I'm like, no. I'm like, it's a provincial record. Like, because I'm a crazy, like, analytical numbers person. I could probably tell you numbers in most weight classes. So I was like, no. So she went back out. Again, this is another good reason to have a handler. She went and dealt with it. End of that story is I got my 85.5, got to go out on the platform, hit 85.5.
Oh, yeah.
Which was exciting.
Smoked 85.5, more like it.
And then I got to put 90 on the bar for my third, which is what I really wanted. Actually, I mean, if I'm going to be, like, super honest, I really want 92 because I really want to get over 200.
Yeah.
But this was not the meet to be greedy. And that was one of the mental things that I had kind of talked about with myself and others, was that I wanted to have a successful meet, like, across all fronts. And 90 was the one that was up on the board as the let's be successful.
I feel like of all the lifts, bench is the one that bites back the hardest when you're greedy.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's the one, too, where, yeah, like a 2.5 kilo jump on a deadlift doesn't bite you in the ass as often as a 2.5 kilo on a bench.
Yeah, because that's what happened to me. Like, I hit my second attempt at 70. I was already in a 5 kilogram meet PR, great place, having a great time. Ahmed asks, do you want to have fun? And like, do I? So we put 75 on and like, oh man, I was so close. But that was another fail where I made such a valiant attempt and I was so close to getting it that I'm actually really hyped for the next time I bench because I know
it's there.
I know I've got it.
Yeah.
And I almost would have had a 10 kilogram bench PR, which is huge.
It's crazy, yeah.
Yeah. But I'm happy with 5. I'm going to call it like 5 with a gold star.
No PRs for beans. I benched the same as I've benched for the last 3 meets. And which is 70. Yeah, 70. And we went for 72.5 for my third attempt. And like, as I was pressing it, I had time to think, man, I'm so tired.
Oh no.
And I just like, I tried. Like, I didn't not try, but I was just like, it didn't happen. So whatever, I'll get it one day. I can't wait until I can like open at 70 kilos. Like, I'm excited for that.
Yeah.
It's coming soon.
Yeah.
What about you, Tess?
So my last meet, I fucked up because I didn't listen to commands. So I only got 1 for 3 back in August. And so
I feel like the bench commands are the most stressful
there's
commands.
so many of them.
Mm-hmm.
Can I say, too, for this one, I could not hear the rack command.
No, she was very quiet.
Well, and it was very loud in there, too.
Yeah.
So I just sat there, like, and I was like, eventually, the spotters will start pushing it backwards. I'll just hold it here just in case until somebody touches it, because I did not hear rack.
Yeah. So one of my goals for this meet was to not get red lighted for not following the commands. So I did all 3 commands. I just maybe failed the last one because it was too heavy. But I did get my second one, which was a 2.5 kilo meet PR.
Yeah.
Which
So
I was happy
rad.
with.
So mental PRs and platform PRs.
And like one thing, maybe a TIFPL tip is that don't be married to what you are expecting and be disappointed, because I feel like I had my what I'll be happy with goals and then my YOLO goals, and I don't even think I I didn't attempt all my YOLO goals, but like I had them, and I feel like they were, motivating, but I wasn't disappointed when I didn't hit them.
Yeah.
Because my third attempt was 72.5 as well. And
This was a really great meet for me for that as well, because I didn't have any expectations of myself. I couldn't be disappointed in anything that I did at this meet.
So
I was
happy with bench.
And I think we spoke about it a little bit last week too, but it's important to have goals. Mm-hmm. But it's also very important to be kind to yourself about your goals.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, because I didn't walk away feeling like a failure about it. Like, yeah, there's part of me that was disappointed I didn't like blow my YOLOs out of the water, but I still did a good job, I think.
Yeah, I usually will have like Ahmed actually has me fill out like a sheet before the meet that includes all of my warm up scheme and what my openers are going to be, and then there's like a conservative, a medium, and an aggressive progression on my attempts depending on how the day is going, and that can all alter, because really my opener is ultimately decided by how my warm up goes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not even that wedded to my openers, or I try not to be.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Except when you lift at the end of the flight, sometimes you don't get a choice because you're still finishing your warm-ups when they give the 5-minute call.
Yeah. No, I realized that actually with squats that I was wedded to
I
that.
hate that.
Yeah.
But whatever. It's what you get for being strong.
Oh my God. Life's so tough.
It's such a burden. Such a burden being
All right.
this
strong people problems.
So moving on to the ultimate picking things up, putting things down.
Oh yeah.
The deadlift.
My favorite.
Yeah, you just throwing shit down.
Well, I'm gonna go first for deadlifts because I feel like so. Yeah, like that's the one lift I feel really confident about, and it's funny because I feel like lately I've had people I don't know very well being like, "You're made for benching," and at first I thought that was a compliment, but really that just means I have short arms and I'm fat. So it's like, thanks, but I guess when I get, a PR in benching. But anyway, I love deadlifting, and I feel like I'm good at it. And so
You are.
Yeah, my PR, my previous meet PR was 157.5, and I opened with 155. And then my second attempt was 165. Yeah, my second attempt was 165, and it felt pretty good. But it didn't feel 170 good, and I was like, I don't want to fail my third lift. So my third attempt was 167.5, and as I was coming up, I started to pee, and I had like this moment, and I made eye contact with the front judge, and I knew that either I had the decision to either pee and make the lift or stop peeing and fail the lift. And as I made eye contact with that judge, I just fucking peed. And I was like...
This is sensual.
I'm just, not in a sexy way, just more like in a, what the fuck? I am peeing on the platform. This isn't like in the gym before, like a little bit of pee's come out and I've been like, I should have, I'll pee before my next set. But like, no, this was just like actual urine, just giving her.
Yeah.
And then
looking her straight in the eye.
Yeah, just
like a stone cold killer.
I will say that she red lighted me though. The other two judges gave me white lights, thank God.
Did you ask why? Because as we all know, you can't ask why you got a red light.
Well, and then after I got to the top and I held it and she gave me the down command, I started to put it down and then I was just like, fuck it, and I let go of it. And then immediately after dropping it, I was like, you're not supposed to drop the bar. I just fucked myself. And then I looked and I got the 1 red and 2 whites, and then I like walked off and I just started crying.
Yeah.
Because I was so relieved that I didn't get red lighted for that third deadlift, and I was peed. And so bring extra underwear to the meet. I mean, I bring extra underwear because I get fucking sweaty anyway, so it's like end of the meet, change underwear.
Another sponsor we're attempting to solicit here would be Poise.
Yeah.
I am a big Poise fan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
However, spoiler alert, I am currently going to investigate moving up a Poise pad.
Well, I was like, you should talk next
meets.
Because you squatted after me.
I deadlifted.
After me. Sorry.
I deadlifted after Tess and before Gaia.
Yes, before me.
And so on my second, which was a meet PR for me, was 162.5, which is something I've hit in the gym, but I was still really excited because it moved really well. But that was the one where I was like, this Poise pad is not going to cut it today, because I got back to the back and I'm like, there's some pee on my leg. So, but I was like, okay, well, this is a meet and this is what you do, right? And so put 168.5 on the bar for my third, because I did a provincial record attempt, so I got to go with the halvesies again. And unlike Tess, I now expect on a heavy lift, especially if I'm wearing a belt. And again, and I'm working with a pelvic floor physio. Like, this is something that I'm working on. I'm not just like, everybody pees. Like, it happens, and that's cool, and I am okay with the fact that it happens. That doesn't mean that I don't want to fix it. So, yes, working on it. Anyways, so pee's coming.
Strong and fast.
4 liters of liquid.
Yeah. So this is the first time, because I've peed on the platform before. This is the first time that I have peed on the bar.
Yep. Yeah.
So many PRs.
But you know what? I got the lift.
Yeah.
That was my second provincial record of the day, which I am super proud of.
And then Gaia got to get a really good rest while they cleaned pee off.
I got an extra 3-4 minutes of rest while they frantically searched for something to spray down the bar.
Well, and everybody thought you had bled, like, because Alan's like, I think she ripped a callus, and I was like, no, I bet you it was pee. Well, I knew.
Credit to our announcers for not being like, all right, everybody, we will have a short break here while we clean up after Darron Bunt.
No, they said something really delicate about, like, sometimes there's, bodily fluids like blood. It's like, I find it interesting how blood is somehow more palatable than pee.
Well, because it's hand blood. It didn't come out of your vagina area.
The area.
Oh, God. There's a pee hole. What?
Everybody pees.
Everybody pees.
Yeah. I do enjoy... Some people do it on the platform.
Yeah, but no, like, for me, because I know you, and because I didn't realize that you had peed on the bar.
I didn't realize that until I saw the video.
I just assumed every time I was walking out to deadlift that I was walking into a puddle. Literally, because I was after you, right after you in every.
Yeah, literally on my way back, I was like, "Guy, it's gonna be a while. Just." You're going to have to re-chalk. I hope you haven't, sniffed some ammonia or whatever, because it's going to be a little while.
Yeah. So I because I know you, I knew what had happened, and I was pretty chill. And plus I was in like my YOLO place where I was already like half laughing to myself about what I was going to be attempting. Because, I mean, you guys have all been listening to me for the last month and couple of months, like with my low deadlift self-esteem, because my deadlifts always look like shit in the gym. And I've been just whinging and whining and complaining about how terrible they are and how bad I am at deadlifting. But I deadlift so much better on the platform. And my opener was 155 kilograms, and it flew. Like, it flew better than like 120 goes in the gym for me. So then 165 I think was my second, and then my coach asked me again if I wanted to have fun, and the answer to that is always yes. And this meet I was just really trying to stay in like a really lighthearted place, because I've discovered that for me, I lift best when I'm happy and laughing. That's when I feel strongest. So I had 180 kilograms on the bar for that last deadlift, and I fucking did it.
Oh yeah.
Fucking gave her.
Remember how your goal was something like, I'm gonna lift 182.5 by the time I'm 40?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, you're overachieving, guys.
I was hoping
Hold
to
up.
Slow down.
I was hoping to deadlift and squat, 182.5 by the time I was 40. As I started powerlifting when I was 35, and now I'm 36, and so I need some new long-term goals.
Yeah.
Hit
those
them,
numbers up.
hit them, and then that's the thing with goals, right? You hit them, and then you move on to bigger and better goals.
Yeah, I always like having those pie in the sky goals. Like
Me too.
one day. So now I've bumped those to 200 kilograms. That's my pie in the sky.
Nice.
Yeah.
Sweet. Nice.
Yeah, I immediately went home and looked up all of the records for M1 84 plus. I was like,
Not me. This is
These
the
are my new
first meet
goals.
that I've done that I just was just happy with what I did.
So talk about what happened with your deadlifts. How
Yeah.
was that experience for you?
It was incredible. I have had just low self-esteem about every lift in the lead up to this. And then with deadlifts, I know, like, I hit around 150 kilos in the gym all the time. But for, like, the last 2 years, I haven't been able to, like, I had a PR of 160 kilos in May of 2015. And then I spent half of 2015 cutting down to a lower weight class so that I could be more competitive, and my deadlift just was fucked. Like, I think a couple of my meet PRs were like 155 kilos or 157, and a year from when I'd hit 160. So I was always really upset with myself that I'd lost my deadlift, because it used to be a really strong lift of mine until I lost weight. And also my form went to shit. Like,
Your levers change.
yeah, in the lead up to the couple of meets earlier this year, I was constantly rounded back and just shitty form. So deadlift self-esteem pretty low. For this meet, I was tired. I remember I was in the back, and like when we were benching, I was like, my back is fried. I'm just fucking tired. I'm so tired. And when we went to warm up for deadlifts, I said to Bo, I was like, hey, I'm pretty torched right now, like, just to let you know. And he's like, oh no. Like, this is not the time for being tired. It's time to warm up for deadlifts. And I was like, oh, okay.
Yes, coach.
Yes. And so, yeah, I got warmed up. Everything was moving pretty easy. My opener, I can't even remember my opener. No one cares about your opener unless you miss it. I
care about your opener.
It must have went well, because they
openers
bumped me
matter.
up 10 kilos for my next attempt. So my opener was 147.5. My second attempt was 157.5, which just equals my meet PR from May this year. And it was tough. Like, my second attempt was tough. And at that point, I'd made a 10 kilogram total PR for the meet. So I was happy. I was like, I've hit this. I've made a 10 kilogram PR on my total, which is, all you can ask for really is to make a little bit of a PR.
It's great.
And then, I went back and Bo said to me, he's like, you're going to do 160. It's going to be fucking hard. Like, it's going to be a grind, and, just stick with it. It's going to be difficult, basically. And because you can't just do a 0.5 kilo jump, you've got to do a 2.5 kilo jump. And so I went out there and I just kind of powered up. My setup for that deadlift was like, I joke with my friend James that I look like a fucking Cupid doll when I set up for my deadlift, because I stick my hands out to the side and squeeze my butt. And
Yeah, there's a great video of that on your Instagram feed if people want to check it out.
yeah, and powered up, got my big breath in, and I just closed my eyes. I closed my eyes and just started pulling, and it was so slow. It was so slow. I never pull slow, and it was so slow, and I felt it come to my knees, and it was just stopping, and I was like, I don't even know what went through my head. It was just like, no, 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 no. And I just kept going. And in my head, I thought that when it had come to my knees that I'd had downward motion. So I finished the lift and I was ready to turn around and see red lights. And I didn't. And they were white. And it was 3 white lights. And I'd made my fucking lift. And it was 160. And it was just a PR to what I've lifted before. But I bawled my fucking eyes out because I didn't believe in myself that I could have done that. And yeah, I can't get over.
You had such a rough cycle going into this that you expected. I mean, your expectations were really low.
Yeah. I kept saying on the day, like, if I get my openers, cool. Yeah. So yeah, I cried like a baby all over everyone.
There was a lot of crying. There was a lot of crying at Power Surge. We were going to say who was going to cry first, but I can't remember who did.
There may be no crying in baseball.
There's crying in powerlifting.
In TIFPL powerlifting, there is a lot of fucking crying.
And it was not just limited to us.
I was crying for everyone.
Jason's cry in
Jason.
the second half.
I cried about Jason's lift.
I think we all did.
Everybody did.
So Jason, for anybody who doesn't know, is a phenomenal junior lifter that lifts out of Evolve and
Jason
University of Alberta. Mm-hmm. He's a little 59 kilo guy.
He's dry snots on Instagram.
Yeah.
And he is a gem and a big supporter of TIFPL.
And just the nicest guy. And I think that because he's such a nice guy, it's just so much easier to root for him. And he missed his opener deadlift. He missed his second, came out for his third, and everybody was rooting for him. And when he got it and when he broke down,
everyone broke down. I feel like everyone got a tear in their eye.
Yeah, it was such a phenomenal moment. Yeah. It's one of the moments for me that stands out from that meet. And I think that it says so much about powerlifting and the community that it brings out that it stands out for everyone. And we're all like, that guy made his lift and it was powerful.
Yeah.
And it hit us. And
I walked out just as that happened. I kind of walked into the arena and he started crying and I started crying, and in my head I'm like, I thought I was done crying for the day.
No, you are not.
You never know when you're gonna cry.
Yeah.
Maybe you should start making intense eye contact while crying.
Maybe.
But I mean, something that we kind of glossed over just a little bit earlier that might be good to highlight as we're coming to the end of describing these lifts and stuff that we learned and noticed and whatnot is that if you do get red lighted, you can ask. I didn't know that my first meet, and I got red lighted on a squat and I had no idea what had happened. And I guess I got the impression I'd get some kind of like report afterward or something. I didn't know that I could just turn to the judge and go like, what was it? So that I could come out and correct it the next time. So, make sure, especially if you're a beginner lifter, but at any point really, because I think I would need to be reminded now that I'm not taking up anybody's time. I'm not imposing by asking what I got red lighted for.
Yep. And it is like, I honestly, apart from that last deadlift, I didn't really look at any of my lights for the day because I was just doing my thing. Mm-hmm. It is worth asking, even if you made a lift, if you got one red light, it is worth asking what it was for, just in case that's something that's going to compound over the next few lifts.
Absolutely.
Like, for instance, I have a problem with my with mobility in one of my ankles, so my depth looks really good from one side, but from Darron has the same problem, but like 100 times worse. But I remember one meet, I just was constantly getting red lighted on the one side, and for whatever reason, I didn't ask. But then I figured out later on that that's probably what it was. Yeah. I just wasn't hitting depth properly on that side.
Yeah, it never hurts to ask.
Yeah.
Like, that's the thing. You're not imposing on anybody. If you just politely say, hey, what did I get that for? They're going to be happy to answer for you, and you're left with that much more information to use to move forward.
And also,
go ahead.
Pay attention, because often the judges will tell you, like, I see them sort of trying to tell people as they're walking off the platform, and the people aren't listening, they're just walking off the platform. Yeah. But I often see judges kind of wanting to tell people why they
because they know it's your only opportunity to get that information. If you don't ask right then the window has passed.
And the reality is, the people that referee in powerlifting are super passionate about powerlifting, and they want to see people do well. They are not there because they really want to hand out red lights and watch everybody fail. These are people
that's why Angelina's there, but the other
Oh, you went there.
Oh, we love you, Ange.
Oh my God, Ange, you're the most beautiful snowflake in the world.
We didn't mention Ange and her first equipped bench
and a provincial record.
And she smashed the provincial record.
Yeah. So shout out to Angelina, she reffed all day too. She literally got out of her suit, got onto the platform, and reffed all day.
She's a fucking legend.
At the end of the day, I said to her, I'm like, you're a machine. Like, you did, you must be exhausted. And she's like, why? And I was like, well,
Ange.
because you benched and then reffed all day. Like, I'm tired and like I only, worked half the day.
Yeah. I think one of actually the biggest gifts for me, especially just as I was beginning, was getting to know Ange and getting her feedback from a judge's perspective on my lifts in the gym, because that gave me a whole new confidence about what I had needed to do on the platform.
Yeah.
She's like,
I love having
all
her
kidding
in the
around
gym.
aside, and she'll joke herself about how much she loves to give out those red lights, but like, Ange is what this sport is all about.
Yeah.
And I mean, the thing is all the judges that I know in Alberta, because that's where we primarily live, they are there for the sport and they want to see it grow and they want to see people be successful. So take advantage of that. Ask questions, and this extends outside of Alberta to everywhere. I doubt there's a lot of judges out there that are like, screw you, I'm here to hand out red lights and hurt
they're
feelings.
on your side. They're on your side, and they want to see you succeed.
And Ange has told me, and Jason has told me as well, because he's a ref as well, that they're supposed to err on the side of positive. Like, if they're unsure of the call, they're supposed to give you the white, not the red, kind of thing. They're not out to make you have a bad day. Unless you're blatantly ignoring the rules.
Yeah. Does anybody have any kind of like last kind of feels about the meet before we kind of head into shout-outs?
Buy my camera.
No.
No,
the end.
There was something about this meet in particular, and maybe it's because it was a meet that was almost half women, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think maybe just over.
But the sense of community amongst all the lifters, male and female, the way everybody was rooting for each other, the days that we all had, I mean, breaking provincial records, smashing PRs. I just felt like this day was magical.
It was a great day.
Fucking magic is the way that I've described it to so many people.
It was a really great day, and it extends beyond anything that happened on the platform. It was the environment, and that's the thing. Power Surge is such a cool meet because of the community. Like, it's a cool meet.
Yeah. And I mean, at some point we're going to shout out Danny for something she's accomplished as a lifter, but like, she's the one, Danny Savoie, she put all the work into.
Yeah. She meet directed Power Surge, and definite shout out to her.
Because it was great. So,
We were joking that by the end of the day, Danny was finally as normal as the rest of us, because Danny is like the happiest, most positive person I've ever met. I would I'd see her at the gym and she'd be like, how are you? And I'd be like, okay. Only okay? Are you all right? And it's like, no, okay is great, Danny. Like, So, yeah.
All right, so
awesome.
Also shout outs to Imran for volunteering all day. And being fucking amazing at bench handoffs.
Yeah.
I was so scared about the handoffs because in the meets, in the federations I usually compete in, you can pick who's going to hand off to you, so you can pick someone that you train with all the time. So I was like, fuck, how am I going to explain to him how to do this, and blah, blah, blah. And he was just perfect.
Yep.
I only had to say it once. He knew exactly what to do. It was great. So cheers.
So before we sign off on episode 2, we do want to give our TIFPL shout-outs of the week. We have 2 again this week. The first one is Stacey Burr, who's at Bama Burr on Instagram, for her IPL world record squat. She's a 148-pound lifter, and 435 pounds.
What?
That's crazy.
Like, and I'm not talking with wraps or anything. This is sleeves.
Nice.
This is sleeves.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fucking legit. Very
Strong.
legit.
And she's a
Strong
fucking badass. Like, I have
Yeah,
a
she
major
is.
girl crush on
Yeah,
her.
if you wanna see a cool Instagram, go check out hers. She says some pretty.
Yeah.
She shoots from the hip, and she says some pretty good stuff. So check her out for sure. And the other one that we want to shout out, this is from OPA Provincials, which is Ontario, that big province.
Yeah.
But yes, so we have Joanna Reiber. She is littlejoe.r on Instagram. 9 for 9. PRs in every lift. Total. Wilks. 155 kilo deadlift. Just 1 kilo shy of a 3-time bodyweight deadlift.
That's
Wow.
crazy.
I mean, I kind of want to be like, get that kilo, but at the same time, that's a fucking unreal lift, and congratulations on all your PRs.
I'm sure she'd like to tell you where to put that kilo.
I feel like a lot of people like to tell me where to put that kilo. But yes.
And what are we going to do? Do we have time for dirtbag confessions?
I feel like we're running low, but if somebody's got a quick dirtbag, let's dirt it.
I feel like I was just a dirtbag the whole time because I like to talk about poop a lot. But usually at a meet, I'll eat so many Oreos that my poop is black. Didn't happen this time, but it did happen the next day after I came home and consumed the rest of my Oreo haul.
And the ice cream?
Yeah. Oh yeah, I'm a dirtbag. Anyway, post-meet eating, even though I wasn't cutting before my meet, I've decided to treat myself. And so last night I went and bought like pizza and ice cream, and then this morning I ate the entire 1.5 liter tub of ice cream, and I just messaged these guys like, I hurt. Like, I need to go and lie down. I've hurt myself.
It's a digestion PR.
Yeah. Haven't pooped yet.
No. So. You bounced back, though. Look at you.
Yeah, I'm alive. I'm not in bed curled up in a ball anymore.
So, yeah, we do want to encourage people, though, getting off the topic of poop just for a moment here, but we do want to encourage people, if you have a dirtbag confession, hashtag TIFPL, dirtbag confessions.
Yeah.
And if you have a recommendation for a shout-out, we do take those as well.
Yeah, especially...
TIFPL. Shout-outs.
Yeah, especially, I mean, we've got our finger on the Alberta powerlifting pulse, but eyes on the ground elsewhere, because we'd really like to learn more about some of the badass lifters everywhere else in our community.
So, we do want to thank you for sticking with us for episode 2, where we talked a lot about ourselves a little bit, but hopefully had some good nuggets of helpful meat information.
Yeah, we hope that you liked this, and we still want feedback from you guys on what you want from our podcasts, because we just make this up and make you listen to it.
So thanks for listening. We do appreciate that. And until 2 weeks from now, we are TIFPL, signing off.
All right.
Peace.
Bye.
Fashion. Well, that's it. A meet day in the life of a bunch of dirtbag powerlifters. If you're in Edmonton or close by this coming Saturday, November 26th, the TIFPL crew will be at Evolve Strength, volunteering and running a platform at Misfit Powerlifting's Shell Shocked. It's a CPL meet to raise funds for research into PTSD and traumatic brain injury of servicemen and women. We're stoked to hang out with international guest Brandon Lilly, who will also be hosting 2 workshops on Sunday the 27th. More info will be posted up on our Instagram, Facebook, and website. We'd love you to come hang out and support a great cause. Thanks for listening, and don't forget to subscribe on YouTube and iTunes or any of your other favorite podcasting apps. And leave a comment or give us a rating, because that makes us feel warm and fuzzy inside.
This is Feline Podcasting.